It's a go home for the future with What Happened on My Universe Mode. That's right, NXT was back and it's a go home show. Coming from East Rutherford, New Jersey, we opened with the first semi-final for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic as the NXT Tag Team Champions Enzo Amore and Big Cass faced off against Dash Wilder, Scott Dawson, The Revival. The match began with Dash Wilder and Enzo Amore, and Dash Wilder beating down Enzo Amore before he tagged into Scott Dawson, and the pair of them hit double team several times on Enzo. After all that beating taking, Enzo Amore finally got a hot tag to Big Cass, who ran in and kneed and kicked Scott Dawson several times himself. He then beat on Scott Dawson and then hit him with snake eyes on the rope. Big Cass couldn't continue this beatdown, however, as Scott Dawson got a reversal and a big clothesline and then a huge chop block to the knee. He tagged into Dash Wilder, they hit a shatter machine, and after taking out Enzo and hitting a dirty backbreaker, they hit Shatter Machine once more, changing roles this time, and that defeated the tag team champions and meant that the Revival moved on to the final of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. In the next contest we had Bo Dallas in action. He was supposed to be taking on Aiden English, but unfortunately for Aiden he was unconscious, possibly thanks to Tommaso Ciampa, who's had recent issues with Bo Dallas, and luckily for Aiden English, Tommaso Ciampa was able to fill in for him in the match. An agitated Bo Dallas took the early offense to his face. First a dropkick, then a dirty knee, then another dropkick, this time off the second rope. Ciampa followed that up with the dirtiest of knees to the back of Bo Dallas's head, but unlike Aiden English, Bo Dallas was a bit more awake and managed to get a reversal, elbowing Ciampa in the head and then hitting a Northern Lights suplex. Bo Dallas kept the momentum going with a reverse DDT and a neck breaker, but Ciampa reversed after that, getting a punch in and then a powerful looking clothesline. Afterwards he locked in a Fujiwara armbar, and despite all of Dallas's attempts to break free, he could not and would eventually be forced to tap out, Tommaso Ciampa winning the match, and the two will probably face off again at the pay-per-view at the end of this current week. Another man who's probably going to be on that pay-per-view is Sid. Sycho Sid, and he had a microphone, which is always fun, and he wanted to call someone out. That someone was NXT champion Samoa Joe, who he wanted to turn into meat slurry. Out came the champ, and let's find out if he could turn him into meat slurry. Samoa Joe stated that this failure needed to be reminded of his place here in the WWE, and then Sid accused him of being crazy, delusional, or just plain stupid. Joe retorted by saying that when Sid's ready to put his big boy pants on, he'll be waiting, and Sid said that they were going to fight, and it was going to be a fight for the ages. Nobody realised that fight was going to be right now though, as Sid whacked him with the microphone. Joe though came back with a huge back suplex. Sycho Sid fought back with punches and threw Joe to the outside, but when he was on the outside he tried to powerbomb him on the ramp. Joe reversed that with a DDT. On the ramp, Samoa Joe hit Sid with a running kick. He went for another one. Sid ducked and took him down, and then took him even further down when he went to the top of the ramp. He brawled on the top of the ramp with Joe and then hit Joe with a segment ending suplex. In action next was Nia Jax, who's not like most girls. She was taking on Ember Moon in a match, but before they could get started, someone interrupted proceedings. It was Peyton Royce, who had a couple of issues with Nia Jax on the last edition of NXT. The animosity was clear between Peyton Royce and Nia Jax as the pair traded words, as Royce took her place at ringside in one random solitary seat that just happened to be there, not a commentary like a normal person. The match got started and Nia Jax didn't let this distract her as she hit a Russian leg sweep on Ember Moon. And after that, a painful looking powerbomb, but Ember Moon fought back with punches and kicks, and then a big drop kick, but it wasn't taking Nia Jax off her feet. She had to try harder, hitting a knee to the face and then a neck breaker. Jax was finally down, but at what cost? Jax tried to reverse, but Ember Moon was able to throw her outside. But eventually on the outside, that's when Nia Jax got the advantage, hitting a DDT on the floor. She threw Ember Moon back in the ring and the pair traded fists. We headed to the outside once more as Nia Jax clotheslined Moon to the outside. Jax went and joined her, but before doing so, she got in the face of Peyton Royce, who was just sitting there doing nothing. She continued her beatdown on Ember Moon and then went back to continuing her verbal joust with Peyton Royce. And then Peyton Royce was taken out by Ember Moon by accident as Nia Jax dodged the attack. Nia Jax looked smug as she took Ember back in the ring, hit a reverse fallaway slam and a huge Samoan drop. And after all that, Ember wasn't kicking out. Nia Jax was victorious and goes into the pay-per-view looking forward to a match with Peyton Royce. Our main event was the second semi-final of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, where the Authors of Pain, accompanied by Paul Ellering, took on the Ascension, who brought Vader along with them to make sure Paul Ellering didn't get involved. The match began with Akam nailing Connor with a headbutt and taking him down with a suplex, but apparently that was enough to get a hot tag, and in came Victor like a house on fire. And it was all going great for Victor until he let Paul Ellering distract him, and once he'd done that, in came Akam with a dirty German suplex. Akam tagged into Razor, who nailed Victor with an STO and a suplex, but then both teams made tags and Akam got into a spot of both with the referee. First he got in his way and then the ref accidentally hit him with a chair as Connor gained the advantage with a choke. Connor then tagged into Victor, who smashed Akam's face into the mat. He went for a stomp, Akam dodged, hit Victor with a Russian leg sweep. Connor woke up, went for a punch, missed, ended up outside the ring, and this left Authors of Pain able to hit the last chapter on Victor and take their place in the final of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic against the Revival at the pay-per-view. And that's it for What Happened on My Universe Mode. Like and subscribe to 205 Live next.